Good afternoon, guys. Good to see you again, or good to be seen. Hey, I hope everybody's safe. And what we're going to be doing, I figure this is the best way to communicate with you for me, is to go ahead and do it via YouTube, and I will be emailing you on my gateway. So you'll be receiving the assignments on my gateway in an email format. But you'll also get it from me here on the video as well. The lectures aren't going to be quite as nice as they would be if we were in a classroom with all my gadgets, but I'll do the best I can, and we'll get through this. Don't panic. Don't worry about the midterm. We may not be taking it, so don't worry about it. You just make sure that you show me some sign of communication, that you're getting these emails and watching the YouTubes, and we'll be fine. Don't worry about your grades. It'll all work out in the long run. So, okay, so the first thing is, as you remember, we left off talking about the 7 steps to the career search process. We lectured on decision making, which is the first step. Now what we're going to be doing is we're going to look at our interests, things that we like to do. Remember, this is important because you don't want to be doing something for the rest of your life that you don't like to do. Many of us have parents that don't like what they do, and we know that they don't like it, so we don't want to end up like them. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at our 3 interest assessments, and I'm going to do this in 3 parts. So this will be part 1, interests, when you're trying to locate it on YouTube. And the first interest assessment we're going to look at is the COPS, the California Occupational Preference Survey. And it's the blue packet, and I'm sorry I don't have the cover with me. We weren't allowed to go back into the office, so this is the actual scoring sheet, if you remember. It's a blue sheet, and it's the very back page where you have all the answers darkened in. Remember, it's the real long one. So if you can turn to that for me, that would be great. And then I'm going to go ahead and show you. You want me to hold that up? I'm asking my assistant there. Okay, we'll go ahead and put it down. I'm going to show you how to score it, because we'll need to score it first, and then I'll talk about it and interpret it for you. Okay, so what we're going to do here at the top, as you see above the L, we have the, I'm trying to find my glasses, don't have those. You have, was that 3? The number 3 above the big L, 2 above the little L, 1 above the little d, and 0 above the big D. We're going to go ahead and we're going to write those same numbers above all the letters in the 4 columns. So column 1, 2, 3, and 4 will all have those numbers above it. So go ahead and do that. I'm not going to wait for you to do it. I'm going to just keep going, but you'll be able to put this thing on pause or go back to go over it if you get confused. So you're going to take line 127 here, and you're going to add up the numerical value of all 4 columns. So in this particular example here, you have 1 point here, you have 3 points here, so 3 and 1 is 4, 2 points plus 2 is 6, and the 0, so a total of 6 points for line 127. We're going to put 6 on line A sub 1. Now we're going to go right over here to line 128. We're going to add the numerical value of line 128 only now. So in this particular instance, we have 0, 0, 1, and 0 for a total of 1. And we're going to put that on B sub 1. So we're going to go ahead and go down the entire page here, taking each line, adding them up, and putting it on the appropriate line that is adjacent to that line, all the way down the page, just like that. Okay? So that's the first thing you're going to do. That's scoring it. All right? Now, when you're done doing that, what we're going to do then is we are going to take our profile guides, which is the white booklet that accompanies the COPS, and I don't have the front cover of that either, but page 3 of your profile guide looks something like that there. Okay? And here's how we're going to score that. From your from your scoring sheet, and all of the numbers on the right-hand side there, A1 through A3, all the way down on the right-hand side, we are going to record those scores on this profile guide on page 3. And it'll work like this. You're going to go ahead and take your score from your A sub 1 score, and you're going to put it on line 1 above box A here. So this is box A, so we're going to put the A sub 1 score here. We're going to go down about a third of the page on your scoring sheet, and you're going to put the A sub 2 score on line 2, your A sub 3 on line 3. We will add those 3 numerical values up, and we will put that total in box A. So those will be these 3 scores added up together, putting them in box A. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come up this particular column, and you have a blue column and a white column. Men, boys, guys, you're going to be the white column, and ladies, you're going to be the blue column. So whatever your total is here in box A, come on up, whatever your sex is, and you will go ahead and circle that corresponding number. And you see here that this particular person was a female. 24 was the score, and so there was no 24, so we just put a dot in between the 23 and the 25, which is 24 there, okay? Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing for box B. Please be aware that box B is not right next door to box A, it's 1 over. So 1 over, box B, we're doing the same thing, B sub 1 score, B sub 2 score, B sub 3 score, add the 3 up, put them in box B, come up the column, male or female, and you're going to circle the appropriate number that would fall into place with. And you're going to be doing that all the way through box N. So A, B, C, all the way through N. And then when you're done, I want you to go ahead and connect all of the dots to make yourself a graph, which is depicted here in this sample. Okay? So you have a graph there. All right? And then when you're done doing that, then we're going to go ahead and take a look and interpret this particular assessment. All right? I'm going to put my glasses on here for a second and read upside down. So, if you note, and I'm going to hold this up, Pam, on the left-hand side here, you'll see numbers. And on the right-hand side, you're going to see the same numbers, and they're equally the same. They're just on each side of the page, so you can, as you move over to the side of the page, you can more easily read the numbers on that side. Those are called percentile scores. What this guy did is he took all of the occupations in the United States, and what he did is he decided, you know what? All of these occupations fit into one of 14 different cluster areas based on their interests. And those 14 cluster areas are at the top here. We'll talk more about those in a second. But what we did is we compared your answers with everybody that took this assessment, that is your sex, and at the community college educational level. So everybody that's in community college right now and your sex, we compared your answers based on interest now, interest only, with those people. And this is how your results came out. Now you will notice at the top, the 14 different cluster areas up there, you will note that there are some that have two the same titles, but one's called professional and one's called skilled. The difference between the two is, although science is the common cluster area, the professional occupations require a bachelor's degree or higher. Those that are skilled would require less than a bachelor's degree. And really, that's the main difference between those. Now, not all of the cluster areas have two different areas of the same. Okay? And you will note that, and just let me point out here for a second, that outdoors doesn't have skilled or professional, consumer economics does not, clerical does not, communications does not. The others do, okay? So, as we're looking at this particular example that I have here, you will see the area that this person scored, this young lady scored highest in, happens to be communications here, depicted by the highest level in the graph. Now, if you take your pen or a pencil or put a piece of paper underneath and go to this side over here where the percentile scores are, you can see that they scored in roughly I can't read that, 98th percentile, I think it is. It looks like the 98th percentile. I'm reading upside down. So 98th percentile compared to all of the women that took this at the community college educational level, it was the 98th percentile. But what that means really is that out of 100 women that took this assessment at the community college level, only 2 women scored higher than her in the area of communication. In other words, all of the occupations that are associated with this cluster area, okay, she's got a high interest in, based on interests, all right? So that's something to look at. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take your profile guide and we're going to turn to the profile that contains that career cluster area. Now, I'm using a different one now because this is the only one I have. But let's just say you scored highest in science, professional, okay? Then numerically ordered 1 through 14 in your cluster, in your profile guide, you're going to find them numerically ordered as well. So if we scored highest in science professional and she scored highest in communications, so it was in there somewhere, but I don't have it because I couldn't get to it. So we're going to use science professional as our example. These are a listing of all, a great big sampling of occupational titles that would be included in the science professional interest area. Okay? Now, what I want you to do, and I'm going to have you do this right now, or for homework actually, I'm going to have you do this, and I will, again, email you the homework assignment as well. But I want you to, with a highlighter, okay, you're going to have 2 colored highlighters. With 1 colored highlighter, and we're going to stay consistent throughout, I want you to go through this list, and I just want you to highlight the occupational title every occupational title that sounds interesting to you. And this is bigger than what I want it to be, but you get the idea. So you're going to go through this list and highlight all of the occupational titles that sound interesting to you. Now, I don't care if you're good at it, you think you're good at it, or not good at it. That's not important. All we're doing now is gathering information. Okay, remember the decision-making model. We're gathering information on interests only. We're just getting occupational titles. We're not making a decision right now. So what we're going to do is highlight those occupations that sound interesting to us. Now, if you come to an occupational title that you cannot pronounce, or you have no clue what it does, I want you to take your other colored highlighter and I want you to highlight it, okay? And that's only if you don't have any idea what it does or you cannot pronounce it. We don't want to eliminate any occupational title just because we can't pronounce it or have no clue what it does. It could be something exactly what we want to do later in life, so let's highlight it. We're going to come back to these occupational titles later in the semester and do research on these occupations. We're not doing those right now. We're just gathering information. Okay? Now, when you're done with that, you're going to go down to the bottom of the page. And again, this is science. This is science professional, science skilled. And at the bottom of each cluster area, whether it's skilled and professional or just on its own, you will have a list of college majors that are associated with that cluster area. And again, the Edits Corporation, who produced and published this particular assessment from San Diego, took all of the college majors in our in the university system here in the United States, and they broke the college majors down based on your interest areas as well. And those are depicted down here. So if science skilled or science professional was the area that you scored highest in based on your percentile score. I want you to go down to the bottom of that page as well, and taking your highlighter that you used for the occupations that interested you most, I want you to go through and I want you to highlight each of the college majors that sound interesting to you. Okay? Now, that's the COPS, the California Occupational Preference Survey. Now, I believe it's my morning class that has already done this, and that's fine. I just have to reproduce this for my evening classes since we didn't get a chance to do it. So, this is going to be your lecture on this assignment, this assessment, and I've also included that assignment as well, and I will email you that assignment as well. So be looking for that in your emails, okay? Now, I'm going to be talking in part 2 in a minute on our next assessment, which is going to be the self-directed search, or the SDS. You should have been either emailed that assessment, or you should have emailed it to yourself and able to retrieve it from the night that we took these assessments on the second week of class. Okay, and it looks just something like this, and I'm going to bring this up again in a minute in part 2, but this is what it looks like. So you should either have emailed it to yourself from the second night of class, saved it and emailed it to yourself, or Belinda from the Career Center would have emailed that to you as well. So we'll go over this in part 2 in just a few minutes, okay? But you have part 1 to do. I want you to get going on that. And what we're going to do is hopefully this week we will do all of the interests, part 1, 2, and 3, interpreting all 3 of the assessments. And then I'll put together a packet for our next week's lecture and assignment via the same way. We'll do the YouTube thing. Hopefully this is working out. I don't know. We'll see. Give me your feedback, by the way, when you email me. And we'll go ahead and go over the SDS. Next week we'll start talking about values, okay? But we'll talk about that later. But that's kind of the way we're going to do this thing. We won't be able to do everything we were going to do this semester because of the time frame. But we'll get through this. I promise you. Just make sure that I'm seeing that you're still with us, and I'll take care of the grade. You don't need to worry about it. Okay? All right. So I'm going to sign out for now. And I'm going to start putting together part 2. So when you're done with part 1, go right into part 2 and get those done, and then part 3. And it's a 3-part sequence for the interest section. Okay? So I bid you a good evening, and I'll be talking to you soon. Okay? Good night.